Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. This is the video that's going to end our week. We're going to be checking out a song from a band who's contacted me and requested to check out their work. We have a request from Giorgio Pina, manager and drummer of the Italian metal band Souls of Diotima. Says, I've seen your YouTube channel and I like it so much. On January 29th, our new fourth album, Janas, was released, and we would like you to review the entire album or just a song of one of our videos from the new album on your channel. Alright, I'm a little late to this. I apologize. I am checking out the album, the title track, called Janas. And yeah, let's get into this. Getting right into that.
I'm a little fairy, white as the moon, one long story. I'm a kind of riddle, a sort of love.
Really nice harmony right there. Octave bass. Interesting. We backed off a lot of that heavy metal element, the really rhythmic stuff, to pull in for some chord-based, almost like a hook, really.
I'm a little woman.
Yeah, all right.
I'm a butterfly.
He's really moving through this track too.
I'm kind and tender. When needed and evil, I become a defender. If you want to lie to me,
No pre-choruses or anything, just like verse, chorus, just really moving through. A lot of energy. Yeah, nice little rising chord run there. I like where the song's going. We're finally getting to see some of this intensity move into a more melodic direction. It's interesting that the song bounces back and forth between heavily textural and heavily melodic. Yeah, really hitting that strong groove right there. See, we kind of got rid of that groove to make way for melody. It's a back and forth here. We're taking the bridge element here in the vocals and recontextualizing it in a much more vulnerable atmosphere. Yeah, so that's really cool. We have the guitar and drums from the chorus going on here with the choir element, that part. Sorry, the vocalization on strings from the bridge. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things going on in there. I do think it is interesting that it almost has, it's like this merging between like pop rock and metal. I don't know if anybody else is hearing that. Maybe that's just me. Um, it feels like it really wants to be some 90s metal, especially the verse riff, that heavy groove that we felt in the bridge, and then of course the solo. There's definitely, at least to me, a lot of like 90s metal influences here. Uh, but then the chorus and the second half of the bridge and the outro really give me sort of a more rock element to it, and the song structure is very rock. I feel like this song could have been stretched out another minute and a half or so and fit in with that 6 or 7 minute range that a lot of metal tended to really focus around in the 90s. With that said, though, I do think there's some really cool things going on here within that. But I also feel like there's a lot of elements lacking, which is a bit of a shame, because I feel like there's a lot of potential here that just isn't getting realized. And I don't think that there's anything that I would criticize that they couldn't do. So it makes me wonder why they weren't added. First, though, I do want to look at theme and how they utilized a specific sound, bounced back and forth between it, and even brought back some ideas to create a powerful outro. So we have this bouncing back and forth between heavily textured rhythmic elements, which we see in the beginning of the bridge and the verse, where we usually have a very rhythmic guitar line that syncs up with what the drums are doing, and there's not a lot of melody going on here. In the case of the verse, we have the vocals completely carrying the melody. Everything else is sitting on the lower end, providing this rock texture and a rhythmic element. The vocals are alone. But we don't even have the vocals in the beginning of the bridge. It is all that rock, heaviness, the weight, the texture, the feeling of a hard rock song. And then we have the other element, which tends to be very melodic. We have chords going on underneath the vocals, which creates a lot of width. We have some nice contrast there, up against sort of the more narrower sound in the verse and the bridge. We get this nice explosion of width and power, and it makes the chorus feel much larger than the verse did prior to it. And I think that one, I mean, it's a fantastic way to go about creating an ebb and flow to your song. But two, as I've mentioned before, it is kind of the status quo right now. We can even see this in modern metalcore bands that do extremely harsh, abrasive, sometimes even djenty rhythmic stuff with harsh vocals in the verse, and the chorus turns into chords and a clean vocal hook. This is a very tried and true method of creating this explosion of power in a chorus, which tends to help itself get caught in people's heads. It's the hook, it's the catchy part. And like I said, it's a fantastic way to go about doing it. I think it's done well here. It is very status quo. That's like negative connotations. I don't know. I said something more positive earlier, but it is something that a lot of people utilize because it works so well. Um, and then the other thing I really want to look at is the bridge, where we had, it was the second half of the bridge when we introduced the vocalizations. They were oohs or ahs or something like that, with some strings behind it to really amp it up, give it almost a choir like element. I like what that's going for, and I think it was implemented well. But I've mentioned before, I'm just not a real big fan of utilizing orchestral instruments in a way that only implies power or width or regalness, getting that symphonic sound without actually utilizing classical writing. Um, it's Again, I do want to state this is my personal bias. I'm not saying it's wrong. Lots of bands do it. Lots of people enjoy it. Obviously, I'm the outlier here. But when I hear strings or brass get introduced into a song, I kind of expect classical style writing to be utilized, or at the very least for the instruments to do something other than hold out chords, which any other instrument in the band could do. Um, I see that there is a purpose in the utilization of the timbre, but in this case, it's used so infrequently that it feels, uh, I don't know, I feel like it's lacking. We could have seen those strings elsewhere, is what I'm thinking. And they could have been utilized in ways that could introduce counterpoint to the vocals. So, not necessarily that would be what they have to do, but I'm saying that's an example of what could be done. Um, I don't know, just that's more of a global issue I have with a lot of bands utilizing that technique of bringing in strings for a moment. Nothing specific against Souls of Diotima and this song Janas. That's just, I have to bring it up because it's such uh, a frequent thing that I hear, and it's just a minor pet peeve, I guess you could call. Maybe a major pet peeve of mine. um, So we have all these ideas of contrasting element, that I think is done well, even if it is a bit standard for a lot of bands to utilize this sort of song structure. It is done very well here. I am interested about the opening verse, and maybe I'm going to be alone in this. I'll be looking at the comments for this. The opening verse feels sparse to me. This would be one of those sections where, if I was going to utilize those strings that we've already heard, this would be one of those points where I utilize them against the vocals. We have the drum and the vocals, and that's really it. The guitar comes in twice every 4 bars, I think, to provide a rhythmic element, and then just cuts out, and it's extremely sparse. Now, maybe this was done intentionally to go along with this concept of Janus the fairy. Maybe in the lore, whatever this was based off of, fairies are isolated and live alone, and this helps exemplify that concept because then we hear stuff like "I want to fly," and that's when the song opens up, and maybe this fairy feels very isolated and alone, in which case the verse works very well on an artistic level. However, I really feel like it needs something else, and that something else in my books would probably be some kind of counterpoint to work against the vocals, whether that's a guitar line, which I do feel the guitar is a bit underutilized here, or maybe the strings that we hear later in the bridge, something to strengthen the section a little bit. However, at the same time, I already praised that the sparseness versus the width that we see in the chorus is one of the strong points. So maybe I'm a bit off there. Maybe it just needs a little bit of a kick and not as big of a kick as counterpoint. I don't know. It feels a bit too lacking for my tastes. But what really surprised me, I figured that our bridge was not going to feature a guitar solo. because a lot of the guitar playing up to that point had been rhythmic ideas on a single chord or a single note, and then chord progressions. And I was very surprised by the guitar solo. There was some nice musicality in there. There was an interesting a bit storytelling. It was a little too disjointed. I think the first half had a really nice flow to it. The second half felt like a couple of ideas smashed together. But overall, I mean, that's easy to smooth out. Um, but there's some really good storytelling in there, and there's some really good musicianship in there as well. And it's, to me at least, it's kind of a shame. And I've had this comment about other bands that utilize highly textural playing in the meat of the song, and then really strong musicianship and soloing, or in the solo sections, before going back to heavily textural stuff in the remainder of the song. It's a style that I'm still kind of coming to terms with. And if that's exactly what Souls of Diotima wants to make with their music, completely disregard this. But I would love to hear that type of uh, story writing in melody played in the guitar elsewhere. It doesn't need to have that level of shred, but just have some melody writing in the guitar in other places. But that is also a criticism I've made of this type of music before. Not necessarily Souls of Diotima, but other bands that focus on that rhythmic textural writing and then will pull out some really nice melodic writing in a solo. So, not anything specific to Souls of Diotima, but definitely something about this song that fits into that general criticism I tend to have. But I think that's where this whole song kind of leads me. There's some really good guitar playing. There's some good drumming. There's some nice groove sections. There's nice solo sections. The vocals are beautiful. They have a lot of power to them. I really liked that octave harmony in the first verse. Maybe it was the second verse. And then the vocalizations in the bridge, I think, worked very well to help amplify that final section where we really get the I want to fly part. All of the little parts, the individual sections of the song, I enjoy. I just wish they were done in different ways or more often, I suppose. And I think that's why I walk away from this song feeling a little disappointed. I'm not saying it's a bad song. It's a fine song. I don't doubt that this song is going to get a ton of views once people start hearing it and sharing it. But it feels lacking in almost every situation. There's just not enough meat on the bones for my personal tastes. I love the tone, I love individual elements, but they just don't show up in tandem enough. The verses are too shallow, or too sparse, I should say. The chorus sounds great. In fact, I think the chorus is the strongest part of the song, which kind of makes sense. I think the song is really going for this idea of modern listenability. I've already mentioned that it follows a very modern song structure. I mentioned that the chorus and the vocals the vocals in the chorus have almost a hook-like quality to it. There's almost a poppiness in how the song is produced. I think it really is going for some sort of modern sensibility, and the core idea of the song is to get to the chorus so that people can get the chorus stuck in their head. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how music's created today. I've mentioned in a few videos recently, because the topic's been on my mind, that some pop songs are even starting with a chorus. Like, we'll hit the chorus before the verse. And even if you watch movie trailers on YouTube, they'll do like a 5-second snippet of the most interesting part before you actually get to the trailer now. Like, the idea of cramming the exciting part as close to the beginning of a song as possible is just the way to, do modern anything. Which kind of sucks. I think. Uh, uh, but it is what it is. I don't want to get too much on a tangent here. We're kind of getting away from Souls of Diotima at the moment. Um, but I mean, that even brings me back to the speed of the song. I had even mentioned how fast we were just moving through this track. A minute and a half in, and we were already at the second chorus. I mean, even if we exclude the intro, that's 30 seconds per verse and chorus. But there's an intro to put in there too. So we're looking at sub 30 seconds for either a verse or the chorus. And it's making me reevaluate some of the pacing in here, and it does feel like it's moving at a blistering speed that it doesn't necessarily need. I feel like there's a lot of story here about Janas the fairy, I think is what I said. I'm kind of forgetting now. I think it is Janas the fairy, though. There's a lot of storytelling here that's kind of getting swept under the rug, and it could be musical storytelling, it could just be more lyrics, uh, because the band is really pushing through here. So I guess my criticism there would be slow down and take your time and explore the song. I mean, again, unless this is your vision and this song is exactly what you wanted to put out, ignore what I'm about to say. But Souls of Diotima, if you're listening, if you feel like you compromised to create this song, I would suggest lengthening it out and really exploring the concept. I don't know if all your songs are like this. I don't know if this is just the song that you created to get people in. I understand that bands have to be marketable, and the easiest way to be marketable is for your official music videos to be exciting and to bring people in, and you can put more of your nuanced work on the album. I totally understand that. This is the time of the internet, and anybody can listen to one of a bajillion songs in the world. You really got to fight for attention. I understand that as a YouTuber and as a fellow music creator. Fighting for attention is like the core thing that you have to compromise on as a creator of anything. So I totally understand if this was done in that vein, and the rest of your stuff might be a little bit more nuanced. But I do think that there's a really strong song in here that kind of got crunched for one reason or another into this 4.5 minute piece. But I do want to check out more of Sola Diotima's works. There's some really cool things going on here. And like I said, for all I know, it could just be this one song. The rest of the album could blow me away. Or maybe another album could blow me away. I don't know. I like what's going on here. It just feels a little sparse to me. But those are just my thoughts on Souls of Diotima's Janas. This is where you guys come in. Though, hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed this one or not. Let me know if there's anything that stuck out to you. Maybe I completely missed something. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you disagree with me. Go ahead. Let me know. Put them down in the comments. Above the comment box is a description box, and there's a link for Linktree. Fantastic little resource. It provides a menu that'll take you to anything related to the channel, whether you want to join the Discord, support me through Patreon, follow me on Twitter, submit your own special selection. If you're a band, you want me to check out your music, my email is in there. Go ahead and hit me up. The list is a little long. As you can see, this came out in January, and I'm just now getting to it. But I promise everybody who emails me, I'll eventually get around to your work. I won't be back later today or tomorrow or the next day. Weekends are always off. This is the last video of the week. Take some time to watch any videos you didn't, or rewatch some ones you really enjoyed, I guess. You can always hit me up on the Discord. I'll be available all weekend. And I'll be back on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical but not cynical about the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.